We have the most perfect marriage ever.
Perfect.
And we have the secret of how you guys can have a perfect marriage too. Do you want to hear it? I grew up in a family that had really rough relationships. My parents were divorced, and there was always a constant battle between my mom and my dad, and the kids were always right in the middle of that. A lot of my siblings had rough marriages, and I just grew up watching relationships fail. I just grew up being pretty much taught that there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, and that it's just hard, and that they just kind of don't work out. So when Ryan and I met and we fell in love and we knew we wanted to get married, I was kind of scared because, you know, I'd been around these relationships that didn't end well and that were very dysfunctional, and I wanted a perfect marriage, but I feel like my idea of a perfect marriage wasn't possible, you know, because I watched couples that fought all the time, couples that weren't happy, that yelled at each other, and it was just chaos all the time. And so my idea of a perfect marriage was a marriage where no one fought and everyone was just happy all the time, and it was just rainbows and butterflies. And so when we got married, I was just like, okay, we're gonna have a perfect marriage. We're gonna just be good all the time. Nothing's ever gonna go wrong.
Fight.
We're never gonna fight. He's always gonna agree with me. And then we got married, and obviously
we started fighting.
That what I thought wasn't true. Yeah, and I did get scared, like, crap, like, am I just, you know, following in the footsteps of my family where relationships don't work out?
So luckily Eden's mom is a phenomenal communication coach, like marriage expert.
Amazing.
And we've had our fair shares of ups and downs, for sure. Especially in the beginning of marriage, you're just learning to be married. You don't really know how to fight, how to communicate, really how to do anything. And her mom helped us a ton through that. But we were always committed to our marriage and making it work, making our marriage the best it could.
Yeah. We have always taken the time to better our relationship and better our marriage, because it is so important to us, and I didn't want to follow in the footsteps of my family. We've read books, we've listened to podcasts. So we have 3 tips.
Practical, real tips.
For a perfect marriage. And these 3 things will help you. Number 1, realize everything is perfect now. We've had my mom's skills and tools that we've used, and one day it just hit us. We were like, oh my gosh, we already have a perfect marriage. So I think the number 1 thing that people struggle with is the idea of perfection. And I think the word perfect is so skewed in people's minds. And it was in my mind when I was younger too, because I thought that perfect meant you never argue, you never fight, you never disagree. The idea of it is so skewed, because a perfect marriage is a marriage where you do fight. It's a marriage where you disagree and you argue, but you have the skills and the tools to overcome those issues with love and come together and come closer. That's a perfect marriage.
And I came from a family where we didn't really talk about our feelings. So when we had these issues come up or fights come up, I didn't really know how to communicate with her, especially because you come from your mother where she wants to talk about everything and get everything fixed right now, because that's how it should be. But I was just very closed up and didn't want to talk about how I was feeling, and it really made it hard in our communication.
Right. Because the idea of perfect, you know, and then we started fighting, it's like, oh, shoot, sweep it under the rug.
Let's make it perfect, put a Band-Aid on it.
Put a Band-Aid on it and pretend like nothing's wrong. Which that is not a fix, it's a Band-Aid, and pretty soon it's gonna explode. A perfect marriage is fixing it. Is fixing the issues that are going to come, and they all will come.
Like, some of the issues might be a continued thing for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and it's realizing that's okay. Some issues are always gonna be there, but it's the ability to realize you love your spouse and you want what's best for them, and you're striving to better your marriage.
And you can work on it together.
Yeah.
If you both have that goal, then that's perfect. So we realized everything's already perfect. So my mom, she always says, a baby pooping is perfect, and a teenager acting bratty is perfect, and your husband losing the keys after a long day is perfect.
That's me.
No, yours would be
I lock him in the car.
Not locking the keys in the car. She would say, that's perfect. Arguing with your spouse is perfect. You're doing exactly what
a
you
marriage
should.
is for.
You're doing exactly what you should be doing. It's so appropriate. It's just having those skills and tools and the desire to better your relationship together.
Number 2, lower your expectations. This is kind of a weird one because you should be treated like a king or a queen, and you should love your spouse.
You deserve the best.
The world. But you should not expect certain outcomes. I feel like a lot of time we're so attached to certain things happening in a marriage. Like me coming home from work, my attachment is when I get home, the house is gonna be clean, you know, the dishes are gonna be put away. I have this unrealistic expectation of what a wife should be. And it's terrible, like from my point of view, like what type of husband is saying that? But anyways, I get caught doing that. So my big thing is every time before I come home, I just realize like, I have no expectations. I'm coming home to a loving wife who I love so much, kids who I absolutely adore, and realize the house can be in shambles. Like my house can be burning down, everything can be going wrong, but I have everything I need. I'm not attached to these certain things happening, because a lot of times, if we're attached to something happening, if it doesn't happen, what happens?
Then you get mad.
You get pissed,
upset.
you get disappointed, you get in a terrible mood, and it's all because we were attached to this unrealistic expectation of what you should be coming home from work for.
And on the flip side of that, if you aren't attached to the outcome of it and you do come home and the house is super clean and the kids are all fed and clean.
What a nice surprise.
Then you're like stoked.
This is the best thing ever.
And number 3, seek help. There is nothing wrong with having a therapist, a communication coach, or a mediator in between you and your partner.
You're worth it.
You are
You're
worth it. And it's just so nice to have a tool like that to help you come together as a couple. Seeking help doesn't mean that something's broken. It just means that you're trying to better what you already have. And that's our whole goal with our relationship. We have a perfect marriage. We have a perfect relationship. But every day we're wanting it to be better. Our fights are perfect. Our arguments are perfect. Our disagreements are perfect. I mean, when he leaves the toilet seat up, that's not perfect, but.
Not perfect because we don't fight, not perfect because the house is always clean, or I'm always bringing home the bacon, or whatever it may be. Perfect because we are committed to make this work. I love you. And we're committed to each other.
Yeah. As long as we, 1, get how perfect everything already is, along with all of our crap.
2, lower your expectations.
Be human. Have realistic expectations. And 3, seek help, like all the time. We're excited to hear how perfect all of you are. Let us know how perfect your relationships are. Please share your stories with us. Let us know a time that you reached out for help and how it helped you improve your marriage. And big freaking cockroach outside.
No, where?
Yes. It ran around the side of the house.
Daniel said they were coming. Smell it.
This big.
They're coming for
So
blood.
good.